"But the song hasn't started yet," Kit protested. "Yes, it has," Nita said dully. That she remembered very clearly from her reading. It had been in the commentaries, one of the things she found strange. The minute the first celebrant takes the oath, the song's begun, and everything that happens to every celebrant after that is part of it. "Nit," Cerise said in a voice so small that Nita could barely hear her. "What will you do?" A shadow fell over Nita, and a third and fourth pair of eyes joined the first two, Hotshot, grinning as always, but with alarm behind the grin. Ed, gazing down at her out of flat black eyes, emotionless as stones. "I thought I sensed some little troubling over here," said the Master Shark. Kit and Sri held still as death. "Yes," Nita said with terrible casualness, amazed at her own temerity. "Is the pain done?" said the Master Shark. "For the moment," Nita said. She could feel herself slipping into shock, an insulation that would last her a few hours at least. She'd felt something similar several years before, when her favorite uncle had died. The shock had gotten Nita through the funeral, but afterward it had been nearly 2 weeks before she had been able to do much of anything but cry. "I won't have that option this time," she thought. "There's work to be done, a song to sing, spells to work." But all that seemed distant and unimportant to her, since in a day and a half, it seemed, a shark was going to eat her. Kit looked at Nita in terror, as if he suddenly didn't know her. She stared back, feeling frozen inside. "Let's go," she said, and turned to start swimming east-northeast again, their original course. "The Grey is waiting, isn't she?" By the sound of her way song, Nita could hear Sri and Kit and Hotshot following after her, and last of all, silent, songless, came Ed. "I'm going to die," Nita thought. She had thought that before, occasionally, but she had never believed it. She didn't believe it now, and she knew it was going to happen anyway. Evidently, Nita thought, Ed had been right when he'd said that belief made no difference to the truth. The Grey Lord's Song. They found the whale who would sing the part of the Grey in the chill waters about Old Man Shoals, a gloomy place strewn full of boulders above which turbulent water howled and thundered. The current set swift through the shoals, and the remnants of its victims lay everywhere. Old splintered spars of rotting masts, fragments of crumbled planks, bits of rusted iron covered with barnacles or twined about with anemones. Here and there a human bone, crusted over with coral. Broken-backed ships lay all about, strangled in weed, ominous shapes in the murk. And when Nita and Kit and the others sang to find their way, the songs fell into the silence with a wet, thick, troubled sound, utterly unlike the clear echoes that came back from the sandy bottoms off Long Island. The place suited Nita's mood perfectly. She swam low among the corpses of dead ships, thinking bitter thoughts, most of them centering on her own stupidity. They warned me. Everybody warned me. Even Pichu warned me. Read the fine print before you sign. Idiot, she thought bitterly. What do I do now? I don't want to die. But any agreements you make sure you keep, Tom had said. And though his voice had been kind, it had also been stern as the blues. Nowhere does the lone power enter in so readily as through the broken word. She could see what she was expected to do, and it was impossible. I can't die. I'm too young. What would Kit say to Mom and Dad? I don't want to. It's not fair. But the answer stayed the same, nonetheless. She groaned out loud. 2 days. 2 days left. 2 days is a long time. Maybe something will happen and I won't have to die. "Stop that sniveling noise!" came a sharp, angry burst of song from practically in front of her. Nita backfinned, shocked at the great bulk rising up from the bottom before her. The echoes of her surprised squeak came back raggedly, speaking of old scars, torn fins and flukes, skin ripped and gouged and badly healed. And the other's song had an undercurrent of rage to it that hit Nita like a deep dive into water so cold it burned. "How dare you come into my grounds without protocol?" said the new wail, as she cruised toward Nita with a slow deliberateness that made Nita back away even faster than before. The great head and lack of a dorsal fin made it plain that this was another sperm whale. "Your pardon," Nita sang hurriedly, sounding as conciliatory as possible. "I didn't mean to intrude." "You have," said the sperm, in a scraping phrase perilously close to the awful sperm whale battle cry that Nita had heard from Kit. She kept advancing on Nita, and Nita kept backing, her eye on those sharp teeth. "These are my waters, and I won't have some noisy, krill-eating songster scaring my food." That voice was not only angry, it was cruel. Nita started to get angry at the sound of it. She stopped backing up and held her ground, poising her tail for a short rush to ram the other if necessary. "I'm not interested in your fish, even if they could hear me, which they can't, and you know it," she sang angrily. "Humpbacks sing higher than fish can hear, the same as you do." The sperm kept coming, showing more teeth. "You look like a whale," she said, voice lowering suspiciously, "and you sing like a whale. But you don't sound like a whale. Who are you?" "Init," Nita said, giving her name the humpback accent. "I'm a wizard. A human wizard." The sperm whale cried out and rushed at her, jaws wide. Nita arrowed off to one side, easily avoiding the sperm's rush. "Spy! Murderer!" The sperm was howling, a terrible rasping song like a scream. It came at her again. Again Nita rolled out of the way, her maneuverability easily defeating the other's rage-blinded charge. "I may be a human," she sang angrily, "but I'm still a wizard. Mess with me and I'll—" Wham! The sperm whale's spell hit her with an impact that made the displaced water explosions of Kit's shape changes seem puny. Nita was thrown backward, literally head over tail, thrashing and struggling for control as she swore at herself for being caught off guard. The spell was a simple physical violence wizardry, as contemptuous a gesture from one wizard to another as a slap in the face, and as much a challenge to battle as such a slap would have been from one human to another. Nita went hot with rage, felt about for her inner contact with the sea, found it, and sang. Only 3 notes, but pitched and prolonged with exquisite accuracy to take the power of the other's spell and turn it back on her tenfold. The spell and the water thundered together. The sperm whale was blown backward as Nita had been, but with more force, tumbling violently and trailing a song of shock and rage behind her. Nita held still, shaking with anger, while Sri and Hotshot and Kit gathered around her. "I'm all right," she said, the trembling getting into her song. "But that one needs some lessons in manners." "She always has," Sri said. "Nita, I'm sorry. I would have kept you back with us, but—" She didn't go on. "It's all right," Nita said, still shaking. "Nice shot," said a low scrape of song beside her ear, angry and appreciative. Kit. She brushed him lightly with one flank as a great pale shape came drifting down on the other side of her, eyeing her with dark-eyed interest. "So," Ed said, calm as ever, "the sprat has teeth after all. I am impressed." "Thanks," Nita said, not up to much more conversation with Ed at the moment. Slowly they swam forward together to where Sri was hovering in the water, singing more at than with the other whale. "No, you were out of bounds, Arenya," she said. "There was no breach of protocol. We came in singing." "That one did not," said the sperm whale, her song so sharp with anger that it was a torture to the ears. "My right does not extend to attacking a silent member of a party entering your waters within protocols," Sri said. "You attacked Neat out of spite, nothing more. First spite, then anger because she was human. We heard." "Did you indeed? And what else have you heard in these waters, you nursling wizard, you and your little playfellows?" The sperm whale glared at them all as they gathered around her, and the rasp of pain and hatred in her voice was terrible. "Have you seen my calf hereabouts? For all your magics, I think not. The whalers have been through these waters 3 days ago, and they served my little Mahali as they served your precious Inu. Speared and left to float belly up, slowly dying, while they hunted me. Then hauled, bloated out of the water and gutted, his bleeding innards thrown overboard by bits and pieces for the gulls and the sharks to eat." When Sri spoke again, her voice was unhappy. "Arenya, I share your grief. It's things like this that the song will help to stop. That's why we're here." The sperm whale laughed, a sound both anguished and cruel. "What lies," she said, "or what delusions. Do you truly think anything will make them go away and stop hunting us, Sri?" Arenya looked with hatred at Nita. "Now they're even coming into the water after us, I see." Kit glided forward ever so slowly, until he was squarely between Nita and Arenya. "I guarantee you don't know what she's here for, Arenya. Preserving your life, along with those of a lot of others. Though at the moment, in your case, I can't imagine why anyone would bother." Arenya made a sound at Kit that was the sperm whale equivalent of a sneer. "Oh, indeed," Arenya said. "What could she possibly do that would make any difference to my life?" "She is the silent lord for the song," Sri said. Arenya turned that scornful regard on Nita. "Indeed," the sperm said again. "Well, we are finally getting something useful out of a human. But she doubtless had to be compelled to it. No human would ever give up its life for one of us, wizard or not. Or did you trick her into it?" Gently, hardly stroking a fin, Ed soared toward Arenya. "Unwise," he said. "Most unwise, wizard, to scorn a fellow wizard so, whatever species she may belong to. And will you hold Nita responsible for all her species' wrongdoings, then? If you do that, Arenya, I would feel no qualms about holding you responsible for various hurts done my people by yours over the years. Nor would I feel any guilt over taking payment for those hurts out of your hide. Now." Arenya turned her back on Ed and swam away, as if not caring what he said. "You take strange sides, Slayer," the sperm said at last, cold-voiced. "The humans hunt those of your mastery as relentlessly as they hunt us." "I take no sides, Arenya," Ed said, still following her. "Not with whales, or fish, or humans, or any other power in the sea or above it. Wizard that you are, you should know that." He was beginning to circle her now. "And if I sing this song, it is for the same reason that I have sung 100 others, for the sake of my mastery, and because I am pleased to sing. You had best put your distress aside and deal with the business we have come to discuss, lest something worse befall you." Erinya turned slowly back toward the group.